President Donald Trump just announced a 90-day pause on reciprocal tariffs on all countries except for China, of course, which will see an increased tariff of 125%. Now, of course, by the time I release this video, it's probably going to be closer to 145, maybe even 165%. But really, guys, the main headline here is what President Trump had to say about it on Truth Social. He said more than 75 countries have called representatives of the United States, including the Departments of Commerce, Treasury, and the USTR, in order to negotiate a solution to the subjects being discussed relative to trade barriers, tariffs, currency manipulation, and non-monetary tariffs, and that these countries have not, at any strong suggestion, retaliated in any way, shape, or form against the United States. 75 countries, guys. You see, guys, you just have to have faith in our president. Now, remember, guys, he literally wrote the book, The Art of the Deal. The media won't admit it, but this is still a win. Tariffs equal leverage, period, point blank. See, Trump here, he's playing chess. Everybody else is out here playing checkers. Now, we've got all the leverage, and he realizes it. Trump told reporters at the White House that he called yippee critics and a queasy bond market were factors in his quick reversals. And man, what a reversal it was, right? I mean, just look at the stock market. Trump said that's got to be a record as the Dow Jones Industrial Average closed up more than 7.8%. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said that this was his strategy all along. Now, you might even say he goaded China into a bad position. They responded, and they have shown themselves to the world to be bad actors. Republican Louisiana Senator John Kennedy, he went even further to say that he doesn't consider it to be a pause. He considers it to be a declaration of victory. Even Republican Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley, the man who wanted to rein in the president's ability to unilaterally impose tariffs without congressional approval, he also approved of President Trump's decision to pause tariffs. And really, guys, with President Trump, you just have to trust the process and believe in the man that's overwhelmingly won America's vote. You know what I'm saying? I mean, hey, even with this tariff pause, Trump has the time to neutralize enemies of the state. He just authorized the DOJ to investigate anonymous author Miles Taylor for leaking during his first term, and into former cybersecurity official Christopher Krebs for attesting to the legitimacy of the 2020 election. Trump said that the former chief of staff of the Department of Homeland Security is guilty of treason. I mean, we've certainly got a long list of people that we would like to have investigated for their crimes against the country. Am I right, guys? I'm just glad that President Trump is setting an example with these two. Now, again, guys, let me highlight that we're not even 3 months into President Trump's term, and look at what this administration has already accomplished. Now, just a heads up, guys, you don't want to miss out on your Medicare benefits. If someone you love is on Medicare or about to be on Medicare, there's a way to get free expert help. No strings attached, guys. Now, I've gone ahead and I've partnered with Chapter Medicare. Why? Well, because they actually care and they walk you through everything with no pressure. And I like that free part. So anyway, I'm going to leave a number down below. I'll probably even put it up on the screen here. The phone number is 909-563-8279 to talk with someone who's friendly, or you can click the link down below, askchapter.org/Ron. Because hey, whether it's Medicare, retirement benefits, disability, Medicaid, or survivor benefits, they'll help you unlock what you're eligible for. A lot of folks don't even realize that they're missing out on extra benefits or even saving money. So anyway, the help is totally free, and they've already helped thousands of people like us figure this stuff out. Because even people in my age group, we have to help out our parents, right? Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to make you guys aware and pass that information along. I mean, just listen to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent explain the genius move that was Trump's tariffs and then the tariff pause. Here, check this out.
If I could just add to what the secretary said, many of you in the media clearly missed the art of the deal. You clearly failed to see what President Trump is doing here. You tried to say that the rest of the world would be moved closer to China when in fact we've seen the opposite effect. The entire world is calling the United States of America, not China, because they need our markets, they need our consumers, and they need this president in the Oval Office to talk to them. And that's exactly why more than 75 countries have called, because the United States of America is the best place in the world to do business. And as the president has shown great courage, as the secretary has said, in choosing to retaliate against China even higher. Elena, go ahead.
Hi, thank you, Treasury Secretary Bessent. Can you explain more of the decision making on what feels like a reversal here? I mean, just these went into effect less than 15 hours ago, these tariffs. Why the pause now? What led to that?
No, again, President Trump created maximum negotiating leverage for himself, and which tariffs went into effect 15 hours ago? The ones that we have lowered went into effect a week ago. They were announced a week ago, and we've just been overwhelmed by the response from mostly our allies who want to come and negotiate in good faith. So we are expecting them to come with their best deal. As I said a week ago today, don't retaliate. Hold your ground. Let's see what happens. And China, they kept escalating and escalating, and now they have 125% tariffs that will be effective immediately.
Well, what did I tell you guys? This is what leadership looks like. Make the tough call, get the results. Say what you want about President Trump, but when he talks tariffs, the economy listens. So yeah, I would kind of say that this is just a power move. April 2nd, President Trump announced reciprocal tariffs on a whole list of nations. And when they got the feedback from these other countries, i.e. more than 75 countries coming to the negotiating table and China tipping its hand to be the enemy, Trump announced his pause. Because as the president explained, based on the lack of respect that China has shown to the world's markets, he's raising the tariff charge to China by the United States of America by 125% effective immediately. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, he shared his insider take on what just happened. He said that Scott Bessent and he sat with the president while he wrote one of the most extraordinary Truth Social posts of his presidency. And for Howard Lutnick, the world is ready to work with President Trump to fix global trade, and China has chosen the opposite direction. I mean, like Trump said when he first announced these tariffs on Liberation Day, our country has been looted, pillaged, raped, and plundered by nations near and far, both friend and foe alike. More recently, he commented on the decades of bad trade policies going back as far as Obama. Here, check this out.
I blame the people sitting right at this desk, right behind this desk or another desk. You get your choice of 7. I happen to pick the Resolute. But I blame the people sitting behind in this chair, behind this desk, for being stupid, incompetent, or not having courage. This should have been done years ago. This should have been done before Obama, in all fairness. Not only Biden, Obama. This should have been done many years ago. This started with the World Trade Organization, which was owned by China. It was owned and paid for by China. They didn't even have to do things. They considered them a nation that was undeveloped. They said they were a developing nation. Well, we're a developing nation too, if you think about it. Look at our inner cities. Look at what's happened. I think we're starting from ground zero there, right? So we're a developing nation too. No, I don't. I know it's a lot of people would take heat for saying it, but I blame the people sitting at this desk more than I blame China. If China can get away with what they got away with taking hundreds of billions and trillions of dollars right out of our pocket because our people here were stupid, they were stupid people. Maybe corrupt, I don't know. I don't know how you can be that stupid. How do you get to be president and you're stupid? But they certainly weren't courageous, and they allowed this to happen. And with Japan and with many other countries that took advantage of us. I mean, we had deficits with almost every country. I used to read these things. The first term I'd read them. I'd actually read the agreements. I'd say, how could anybody agree to this stuff? So certainly they were rough, and they were tough, and they were smart. And you can blame them, but I really blame the people that allowed them to do it. Because, you know, if you could read first grade and you could read these agreements, you'd say, these are terrible deals. I actually used to say, who would allow deals like this to be made for our country?
Now, another take from Trump was when he was talking to Senator John Barrasso from Wyoming on the White House South Lawn, together with NASCAR Cup Series champions Joey Logano and Ryan Bailey. Now, Trump told reporters moments later he pressed pause on the tariffs because he thought that people were jumping a little bit out of line. They were getting a little yippy, a little bit afraid, unlike these champions. He also gave an update that China wants to make a deal. They're proud people, and President Xi Jinping is a proud man, so they're in a process of figuring it out. Now, according to an admin official, the decision to adopt a pause seems like it was all Trump. Another insider said that President Trump's pivot caught major players off guard, and it came seemingly out of nowhere. But really, guys, it's art of the deal. As Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent pointed out, Trump created maximum negotiating leverage. Bessent says he was meeting with a Vietnamese delegation for talks to avoid a 46% Trump tariff and had attended a Japanese embassy event where the nation's 24% rate was broached. Treasury Secretary Howard Lutnick said that the European Union will benefit from a lower 10% tariff for 3 months because the EU's action had not yet taken effect. So yeah, we're rolling, you guys. And I hope you guys listen to me this time when I tell you guys that, we shouldn't be sweating the small stuff when it comes to Trump. Seriously. Of course, liberal mainstream media, they can go into meltdown mode every time he says or does anything, but we don't. So like the president, we should be as cool as a cucumber. Drop a quick yes in the comments down below, guys. Hit the like button if you guys agree. Also, don't forget to hit subscribe to the channel and turn on all notifications for more updates on everything Trump in America here, guys. So Senate Republicans are right there with the president in celebrating his tariff win. Now, as Senator Kennedy put it, it's a declaration of victory. Here, check this out.
Pause of tariffs, 90-day pause, except China.
Well, I don't consider it to be a pause. I consider it to be a declaration of victory. Putting China aside for a second, you have to treat China differently from everybody else. No person with an IQ that's greater than his age or her age can think that half of the world's countries would have come to America, the American people, and say, we want to lower our trade barriers, had President Trump not done what he did. Now, that's just a fact. Trump haters will not like that. Trump lovers will love it, but that's just a natural fact. I did not know what the president's next step would be. I know what my next step would have been. I would have done just what the president did today. I'm happy, very happy that he did it. I'm not as happy as the stock market and the bond market.
Now, I mentioned him earlier right along with Republican Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley, who basically ate his words about reining in the president's power to impose tariffs. Now, apart from them, Republican Alabama Senator Tommy Tuberville, he also expressed that he likes what President Trump did, giving countries a chance to come in and negotiate with him and his team. Keep hammering China. Republican Missouri Senator Eric Schmidt is all for it too. He says that China needs to be treated differently. China is the most unfair place in the world. They rip off our IP. They have trade barriers. They have tariffs. China's making a huge mistake in isolating this. For Republican South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham, the goal is to level the playing field through America throughout the world, to have tariffs be the same and to deal with non-tariff trade barriers. And he said that he can't think of a better person to negotiate with China to get a good deal with America than Donald Trump. Can you guys? Like, who's better than Trump to deal with this? Every time people doubt him, he proves them wrong. Markets are booming today, or at least at the time of the recording of this video. So what's the excuse now? I mean, seriously, stocks skyrocketed when President Trump made his announcement. The Dow Jones Industrial Average spiked nearly 3,000 points or 8%. NASDAQ Composite added over 1,860 points or 12%. The S&P 500 tacked on 472 points or nearly 10%. Tesla, Nvidia, Apple, they added double-digit gains in the snapback. So yeah, I think we're good here, don't you? So let's see what happens with these 90-day pauses and how great of a deal that we can get from these other countries. Now, on the local front, here's President Trump signing the executive orders to launch DOJ probes against Miles Taylor and Chris Kebs. He said it's for treason. Here, check this out.
Thank you, sir. The next presidential memorandum we have for you relates to Miles Taylor. You may recall that Miles Taylor served in the Department of Homeland Security during your previous administration. In his capacity with the Department of Homeland Security, he leaked classified information. He wrote a book under the pseudonym Anonymous, making outrageous claims both about your administration and about others in it. What this presidential memorandum is going to do, one, it's going to strip any active clearance that he has in light of his past activities involving classified information. It's also going to order the Department of Justice to investigate his activities to see what else might come up in that context, given his egregious behavior during your previous administration.
And I had no idea who this guy was. I had no idea. I saw him on CNN, or one of them, I guess CNN, a lot. He'd be on all the time saying that the president is the president. I had no idea. It's like, you know, in this office you have a lot of young people and they're here. I'll see him for 2 minutes and I assume he was in the office, but I barely remember him. It was somebody that went out and wrote a book and said all sorts of terrible things that were all lies. and it was like he was this gentleman or that gentleman, like I dealt with him all the time. I had no idea who this guy. I said, who the hell is Miles Taylor? And he made a living on going on CNN talking about the president. And I think what he did, he wrote a book, Anonymous, said all sorts of lies, bad things. And I think it's like a traitor. It's like spying. He walks into the office. He's supposed to be sitting here. A lot of people, I'll be here and there'll be 20 people standing in the room. There'll be oftentimes young people in the office. I assume he was one of them at least. But I didn't know anything about him. And he wrote a book, Anonymous, and I always thought it was terrible. And now we have a chance to find out whether or not it was terrible. But it was a work of fiction. Got a lot of publicity, got himself a nice job with CNN or one of them. And I think we have to do something about it. You can't have that happen. If that happens to other presidents, it wouldn't be sustainable for other presidents. They seem to be able to sustain. But if that happened to other presidents, I mean, it's just unfair. And if it was a Democrat president, I'd say that's a terrible thing. A thing like that can happen. That's a terrible thing. And it's time to find out whether or not somebody can do that. Can they write a book about very confidential meetings, and because they happen to be one of a lot of people in a room, and they go out and write a book, and worse than that, call it anonymous, like it's a big deal, and everybody's saying, who is it, who is it, who is it? Then it was found out who he was a long time later, and he got a lot of publicity off that one. He's like a promoter. But we're going to find out whether or not somebody's allowed to do that. I think it's a very important case, and I think he's guilty of treason, if you want to know the truth. But we'll find out.
So yeah, apparently Taylor, who was the former chief of staff at the Department of Homeland Security, acted like a spy and claimed in 2018 in an anonymous New York Times op-ed article that he was a senior official in the Trump administration and wrote he was working diligently from within to frustrate parts of Trump's agenda and his worst inclinations. Needless to say, guys, there was a pretty significant letdown when the previously little-known Taylor outed himself in 2020. He basically burst everyone's bubble that he was a member of Trump's inner circle, because clearly he wasn't. Trump signed a very similar order against Krebs, the former director of the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, who the president fired in November 2020 for claiming that the year's election was the most secure in American history. Trump called him a wise guy and claimed, well, he's a member, like he's a Republican or something. For the president, he's a fraud. He's a disgrace. So we'll find out whether or not it was a safe election, and if it wasn't, he's got a pretty big price to pay, and he's a bad guy. What we know so far from the White House fact sheets about this is that Krebs and Taylor would be investigated for possible unauthorized dissemination of classified information, and that the federal agencies were being instructed to yank any security clearances that they currently hold. The president is claiming treason, so let's see. And remember, guys, this is just the beginning. These actions are just part of the broader plan to crack down on law firms and individuals who took part in the huge lawfare campaign against him. Trump's not just targeting the faces that went public, he's going after the infrastructure behind them. We're talking law firms that filed unlawful lawsuits, think tanks that published questionable reports, even cybersecurity firms like SentinelOne, where Chris Krebs landed the CISA. Now, according to insiders, security clearances are being reviewed one by one, and investigations into so-called deep state collusion are ramping up behind closed doors. Guys, the message is loud and clear. If you played a role in what Trump calls the political weaponization of the justice system against him, he's coming back with receipts and executive power. I mean, it's partly symbolic, so whether this leads to actual prosecutions, jail time, or not, this is definitely a full court press to expose and to punish what he views as intentional or institutional betrayal. Not to mention, guys, it's setting up a legal and political showdown that could define the next year. So what do you guys think? Are you excited to see Trump take down the bad guys both inside and outside the country? Drop a quick yes or no in the comments down below, guys. Let's get a conversation started. Also, do not forget to check out our recommended videos right after this one. Lots of in-depth discussions there too. As always, appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.